Hey everybody, welcome back to Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent.
I'm Janet, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like. And today we are talking about the Meyers Briggs personality types as explained by an INTJ to an ENFJ.
That's me.
Yep. So let's talk about how we discovered this personality type thing.
Well, for me, when I heard about it, it was around college. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that's kind of late for a lot of people, but I first heard about it in college, and people would talk about, whatever kind of personality type they are, and it will always sound like ENF something or just like 4 letters, and I'd be like, oh, what's that? And they explained to me that there's a system that helps you understand what kind of personality type you are. Mm-hmm. And when I was in college, I was like, oh, I don't know. Sounds like, how people think about astrology
and horoscopes
and all that kind of stuff. I don't know about that. But then I guess recently, the past 2 years, I've become more introspective, and I just want to just learn and get to know myself better. We've been exercising, or at least, as much as we can during this quarantine stuff.
Improving the self,
and also meditating and all that kind of stuff. But I just got really curious about it. So during lunchtime at work, I went on and took a personality type test just on a whim. Mm-hmm. I had no idea if it was going to, if I was going to buy it or not. I was just okay, I'm curious about this thing. Finally, I'll try taking the test. Mm-hmm. So I take the test, and you basically have to answer a ton of questions, maybe something around 100 or something, and as honestly as you can, and then you get the results, and it tries to tell you what, it does its best to surmise what kind of personality type you are. Mm-hmm. So basically I scored, the first time I took it, I got ENFP, where I read the description, and I was like, whoa, and this was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was like, whoa, that's really really accurate. I was like it explained me to a T that I am pretty, I come off pretty extroverted, but I am pretty introverted. Mm-hmm. I do like to keep to myself. I should have more alone time. Yeah. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that reminds me. It's a basic, for those who don't know what the Meyers Briggs personality type tests are, it helps categorize you in your personality type, right, but it goes into a little bit more specifics, not just extroverted or introverted. It goes into a lot more detail. And so when you get your type, it almost feels like they know the core being of who you are.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, because not all extroverts are the same, and not all introverts are the same. We all live on this kind of spectrum of some are flip-flop on both sides, or some are super introverted, or some are not super introverted but they are introverted, or some are you are kind of both.
Yeah, when I found out mine, I looked through all of the descriptions of the other personality types, because I got really curious, because I was like, oh man, I've had a phase where I'd look at my horoscopes, but then all horoscopes kind of to me sound the same at the end of the day.
Yeah, they can be applied to anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're into it, that's cool. But for me, it's just whatever. But then when I really took this thing seriously, I guess, I was surprised.
Yeah.
So,
for me, when the first time I discovered it, I think was also in college. Yeah. And I took the test then. And I have been and have always been an INTJ. I've not, for you've changed slightly. You went from an ENFP to an ENFJ.
Yeah. So I took the test recently, literally a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. And then I scored an ENFJ this time. And then where I'm at right now, it really feels like where I'm at right now. When I read the description. Mm-hmm.
So these things, they're not set in stone. They're it was developed by, I think, a woman who wanted to understand the psychology of different types of people a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And so people can change their personality types, right, I guess, after like life events and stuff like that. It just like you change as a person. So wherever you fall on the spectrum changes a little bit depending. It can, and we're all varied people. We might not always just fit perfectly in one category. But for me, I am like a super INTJ. Like there's no changing who I am.
But you know, the Myers Briggs has received a lot of criticism, obviously, because you know, like for a lot of reasons, but like at least for me, I see the utility in it, and that like it helps me navigate certain people.
And yourself.
Yeah.
Like the more you can understand about yourself. And I think a lot of psychologists, therapists, they like to have their patients take these personality types because it really helps you understand your own needs, your own strengths, your own weaknesses, and understand that like everyone has a pro and con to who they are. And just like, for example, a lot of introverts are always told that like you need to become an extrovert, you need these qualities or whatever, when like there are plenty of pros to being an introvert. Like imagine if the entire world was full of extroverts and no introverts, it would be a disaster. So, you know, there are cons to every personality type, there are pros to every personality type, and I think that's really important to understand, not only about yourself, but about other people, and it helps you be more accepting of other people and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
It helps you communicate better with other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
In
true ENFJ fashion, Vincent could not talk about himself, so I am going to.
I couldn't read it. I really couldn't read it. It made my skin crawl. I couldn't. Like, I'm fine with you reading it, but like those words coming out of my mouth, my skeleton wanted to jump out of my skin.
Yeah, I guess, Ian, it's so strange to me how you just, people with your personality type do not like talking about themselves. So I will explain what an ENFJ is, and then you will explain what INTJ is, and then we'll elaborate.
Okay,
yeah.
That sounds fair. Okay, I can do that.
So I have here 16personalities.com. Where you can take the test and share with us in the comments what personality type you are.
Let us know. And if you're an artist, let us know.
Yeah, because it's really interesting.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. So the ENFJ, they are titled the protagonists. They call you the protagonist. Protagonists are natural-born leaders full of passion and charisma, forming around 2% of the population. They are oftentimes our politicians, our coaches, and our teachers, reaching out and inspiring others to achieve and to do good in the world. With a natural confidence that begets influence, protagonists take a great deal of pride and joy in guiding others to work together to improve themselves and their community. So then I'm going to read you their basic strengths and weaknesses because that kind of summarizes your basic personality traits that really make you who you are.
I see. Okay.
For the strengths, you are tolerant. You are reliable. You are.
And this is Janet telling you this, so you can believe it.
You are very reliable. You would rather, I don't know, kill yourself than like let someone down. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Let's start. Right. Maybe you would rather,
I don't know, hurt yourself.
No. What's happening in this fucking podcast? It's cursed. Oh my God. It's worse.
You will not let anyone down if you could help it. You will do everything you can to not let someone down. And then you are charismatic, and you are the life of the party. Whenever we go to parties together, people love talking to you. And then there's me, who wants to go home.
All the time.
All the time. The minute I get there, I'm like, okay, I showed up, time to go home.
Yeah.
You saw my face. That's enough, right? And then
it's true. All the coworkers who know you are really like, yeah.
And then you are altruistic, which you are, and you're a natural leader. And then your weaknesses are you're overly idealistic.
Okay.
You are too selfless, which, yes. Just watching how you deal with your art director and stuff like that, it's like, dang, you have your own needs. And you are you are too sensitive. Yes. Just look at how you reacted to someone going, you need more time, huh? You have fluctuating self-esteem, which is like you need a lot of praise a lot.
Okay.
And then you struggle to make tough decisions.
I do.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So now explain me
Okay.
and the strange person that I am.
That was a deeply uncomfortable experience for me. I just want everyone to know how uncomfortable all of that was for me.
This is going to be a funny episode.
So, okay, so I'm at I'm 16personalities.com, and I'm at the INTJ section, which they call this personality type a architect. And in the description here, it says, it can be lonely at the top. Being one of the rarest personality types and being amongst the most capable people, architects know this all too well. They make up just about 2% of the population, and women with this personality type are especially rare, forming only 0.8%. It can be difficult for architects to find people who can keep up with their nonstop analysis of things. People with this personality type are imaginative, yet decisive, ambitious, yet like their privacy, curious about everything, but remain focused. That's you.
Yeah, I'm a lot of contradictions.
Yeah, when I met you, I really thought you were a special cookie. And let's go to your strengths and Oh, God. I saw some of your weaknesses. It's hilarious.
I have some crippling weaknesses.
Okay. You basically have a quick, imaginative, and strategic mind.
Yeah.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
High self-confidence.
What is that?
It's you.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
I have high self-confidence,
Okay.
yes. Some people call it ego.
Independent and decisive. Yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
That's why you're doing this independent artist thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, it's like writing her life. Isn't it freaky? Hardworking and determined. Yes. Yes, as you can see. She edits these things. I just sit here. I just like come to this couch and talk. And that's all I do. And then I do my job, my work. And she takes care of everything else.
Literally everything else.
And now you're sitting here watching it on the internet. That's how crazy this is. So for sure, hardworking, open-minded. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, very
I like
open-minded.
thinking about how other people think of things.
Yeah.
I know the way I think isn't the only way to think about things.
Jack of all trades. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you record this stuff. You sometimes fill this stuff. You assemble this stuff. And on top of that, you're drawing.
Yeah.
Like you do a lot of stuff. Yeah. You like, what are your, you're interested in exercise and cooking and all this
I like music. Stuff. I like dance. Yeah. I like art. Like all
you're
of the
in color
arts.
guard.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't have just one interest.
Oh God, here we go. Architect's weaknesses. Arrogant. Number one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Look at her, she's just taking it. She's not even disputing it.
You're not wrong.
Judgment.
My worst trait is that I'm judgmental.
It's you. Overly analytical.
Yeah.
Overly analytical.
Yeah.
This is crazy. You loathe highly structured environments.
Sounds familiar, anyone?
Oh my God.
How much I hate the corporate environment.
Clueless in romance.
Clueless in romance?
Clueless in romance.
Yes.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, this is crazy.
Fits me to a T.
To a T. So that's why. That's like the feeling it gave me. Like when I first took the test, and I got, what was that? ENFP.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I was like, oh, dang. That's the feeling. But like the feeling that we felt for you, like that was the feeling I felt for myself. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is like I've read some creepy horoscopes that really felt like they were legit, but this is so creepy.
Like it's to the core of your being.
Right.
It knows all your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We can't help being who we are. And you know, there's always room to improve, always, but like there are some things that are strictly just patterns of behavior, I guess, is the best way to describe it, that we do. And for me, as long as I can remember, I've always felt like I've been pretty good at people. I've always felt like I could talk to people very easily. Especially growing up, I've always intuitively known that like if I can help the other person feel comfortable, you know, let's say in a conversation or meeting somebody for the first time, or you know, even hanging out with your friends, just like making things feel comfortable and jovial. It's the best for everybody. And it's just little traits like that I've always known, but no one has like ever specifically taught me.
Yeah, this is
the
how
way
you are.
Yeah.
You just kind of knew it.
Or it's valuable to do this.
Yeah.
I've just always kind of known. So for me, there's this weird thing. Like I don't know how else to say it other than like I have a weird empathy thing. Like I know that the word empathy is thrown out like it's
Nothing.
like it's nothing. Like it's nothing these days. But like I really feel, whether I like it or not, emotions that other people feel.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's like have you seen E.T.? You remember E.T. where like E.T. like where Elliot gets hurt and then like E.T. gets hurt, Elliot gets hurt. There's some sort of weird telepathic connection. Like that's how I feel like with some people. And like for better, for worse. And what I mean by that is like I have this weird thing where certain things, certain encounters that people have make me cringe beyond belief. So for me, like I know this is really weird, but for me, I cannot stand stuff like
cringe humor.
Like what is that? Bad Grandpa?
Yeah.
Like Bad Grandpa
Or Jackass.
Or
Sacha Baron
Cohen movies. I can't stand them. I can't watch Borat. I can't watch like just any of his movies because like he always screws with real people and I feel really embarrassed for other people. Like it really makes me cringe. Like when like people are getting pranked. There was like this show when we were kids. Like, man, this really shows my age, but there's a show called you're on Candid Camera. You're on Candid Camera.
Candid Camera, yeah.
Oh yeah. So basically like people get pranked and then like I'd hate like the whole like thing of like, for example, you know, you go to the grocery and then you try to get some fruit and you put it in the plastic bag. I remember one episode vividly where like in Candid Camera they made it so that it couldn't open the plastic bags. So like they would just stand there.
I am the exact opposite of you.
They would so in Candid Camera you'd find these old ladies and like people like families just standing there
and like
rubbing it, blowing it, like mashing it, rubbing it with their hands, and they couldn't open it. And then they go, "Smile, you're on Candid Camera." And like I'd feel so bad for those people. I'd be like, why are you like, this is horrible. Like look at them.
Oh my God.
They're trying to open the thing. Like imagine if that were me and I'm like opening the thing and then like everybody's looking at me because I'm like an idiot trying to blow into this piece of plastic and everybody's like fine. Like what the heck? Like this isn't a joke. Like this is real. Like I feel like my skin is crawling and I want to look away. So for example, we're watching The Bachelor.
Yeah.
And like for the most part, especially these days, I can watch The Bachelor. It's been great. Like we kind of stopped because we kind of felt like it was just the same thing over and over again, and it doesn't, never really got anywhere interesting. I don't know. Anyway, we would watch The Bachelor, and there would be some episodes that are great, and then suddenly this thing happens where like somebody gets like nasty, like owned or embarrassed, or something, like there's like mad shade. Someone got shaded really hard. I have to like get up and like walk away. Like I can't bear to look at that person's face. I can't bear to like watch that person like crumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, no, but because I'm the exact opposite of you.
I guess.
Literally, on the spectrum, I am the exact opposite of you. We're kind of like in the Meyers Briggs community where like the couple that is always together, like INTJs are always with ENF somethings.
Oh,
ENFPs,
I see. Yeah.
ENFJs. And
why is that again?
because we're literal opposites of each other. We like fill each other's weaknesses.
Right.
And yeah, all the things like you're really great at, which is like empathy. Like I call it an empathy problem.
Yeah, I call it an empathy problem too. I actually do want to watch some of the Sacha Baron Cohen movies, but I can't.
But for me, I love that.
No.
Because I am incapable of reading other people. Like for me, I am such an efficient, pragmatic person while also being a little bit of an idealist and a visionary and someone that really values like creativity and that kind of thing, that like it gets in the way of social skills.
Right.
And like one of the reasons why you and I fit together so well is because you read people constantly.
Always.
It's like you can't, it's exhausting for you.
Yes.
And for me, I hold my emotions and my intentions and everything very like close to my heart. And like I don't like to be emotional. I don't like to let my feelings out. And so for you, I remember the first things like you told me, it was like, you can't read me. And that's really comforting for you because it kind of gives you a break.
So what I meant by like, I thought you were a really special cookie was like, I meant like being me, and I really hate saying that, but like being me, I just feel like when I see somebody, I feel like I know them, whether I like it or not. I feel like I've known you, I've met somebody like you. That's why I'm really good at helping you feel comfortable when we're talking, when I'm talking to anybody.
Knowing exactly what someone wants,
exactly,
their intentions, everything.
Yeah. Right now would be a great time to talk about our sponsor, Audible. I listen to a lot of books, especially when I'm drawing, and one I've been listening to is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And it's basically a book about, and it's very poignant to this topic, it's a book about how there are two systems in your brain. One is, well, he describes it as one, system one, and two, system two. And they both control kind of different impulses that you have. Like the system one is very instinctual. It's very like your very first like intuitive thought. And system two is very analytical. It slows down. So the first one's very fast and the second one's very slow. You need to slow down. You need to analyze this thing. So yeah, it's a very, very just like we talked about, it's really nice to understand yourself better. And the more you have a control over sort of your mind or, the different ways of thinking, different philosophies, I don't know, the easier life will be because you'll help people feel comfortable and you'll be comfortable knowing how people operate. Yeah. So highly recommend Thinking Fast and Slow, which you can find at audible.com.
If you want a free trial to Audible, go to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast, where you can get a free trial of Audible where you can listen to that audiobook. You get a free audiobook credit of any one of your choice. It doesn't have to be this book, but you also get 2 free Audible original credits. So 3 free audiobooks in total. And they have thousands of titles that you can access. So I'm sure you can find one that is specific to what you want to learn about.
Yeah.
And they have meditation, they have daily news. So it's not just audiobooks, contrary to popular belief. You get a lot for your money. So if you want a free trial on us, it helps us out at no cost to you. So if you want to support us, consider signing up with our Audible trial link. So audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast. And if you are liking the podcast so far, click the like button right now. Do it. I'm
Help
waiting.
us out. Touch our bells and buttons.
Because it really does help. And if you can't buy anything or you can't sign up for a trial, even that will help us out a little bit.
At least a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you came along, I thought, I've met everybody. I mean, we met in college, so I think I was like around 20 or something. I felt like, oh, that's strange. I have no idea what you're like. So getting to know you was very like, huh. Like, I'm just like really curious about you. And then like we went on from there. And that's what it feels like being with you. Like, I feel like I understand people really well from a guttural level, but when it comes to you, I feel like I have no idea what you're thinking. And that's why like we can really, really, we do really great with each other, but that's also like the source of our conflict a lot of the time, that we can't read each other. Like we literally can't, like, I feel like there are couples who know what each other's thinking, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, good for you. I have no idea what you're thinking.
No one does.
Ever. I mean, like, the great part about being with somebody for so long is that, like, you get to know them on a really, really deep level. And you, it's been getting easier for the both of us to understand each other better. But, like, that only happened, like, recently.
Yeah. The interesting about our two personality types is that even though we're like polar opposites, we really respect what we lack. It's like, obviously we know our own weaknesses.
Right.
Like, I know that I'm not as good socially as you are. Whereas when I see you and how you interact with people, like, people love you. When we go to parties, when we meet anyone, even at like conventions and stuff, people tend to gravitate towards you more than me. When like in reality, like, for example, if we ever became teachers, I'm actually the softie and you're actually
I'd be pretty hard.
the hard teacher. But people wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Because
We've always joked if we ever taught a class together, one of us would be good cop, bad cop. You'd be bad cop.
I would be bad cop,
You'd be bad cop,
obviously.
and I'd be good cop, but I'd grade like a bad cop.
yeah, and I'd grade like a good cop. I'd be like, oh, they tried. Give them A.
Like, no,
tried really hard.
they're going to graduate and they're going to realize how hard it is in life. And it's our duty. It's our duty to these kids who pay an ungodly amount of money every year in tuition to help them be as strong as they can to survive. And you think a good job grade is going to be enough for them to survive? I don't think so. It's tough out there. And we owe it to these kids. We owe it to these kids, man. That's what I would say.
But the problem is, like, that's not what you would say. That's what I would say. You would just keep that to yourself.
Of course. Of course.
But then you'd grade like that.
Yes. Of course. Because I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, don't worry. Like, I know you got a bad crit from Janet, but it's okay. You just got to keep working. Okay. Like, you got to really listen to what she says. If you listen to what she says, you'll be fine. And if they don't, I'll give you fucking B.
Meanwhile, I'm like, well, what'd you expect? Give him a B. But like, yeah, for me, I'm like super pragmatic to a fault. Like I expect the world of people. Like, that's the thing about me that like other like people. Okay, so like, remember how like Vincent said that I am, especially being an INTJ female, I am 0.8% of the population. You've most likely never met someone like me before.
No, that's weird. That's the weirdest part. Like, I swear, I'm looking at the camera right now. That's the weirdest part. So I remember, okay, so to that point, it's funny because we had this conversation recently and I was basically like, because we've had these discussions for a long time. Like, how do you would always ask me all these things about people. And like, I would get frustrated because like, aren't these things self-evident? Aren't these things obvious to you?
I'd be like, why do people say these things to me? Why do people act that way? Like,
why do they not make eye contact with me in the hallway? Like, why do they do that? And I'd be like, isn't it obvious because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then, what's really funny is that like, I had to teach you how I think about it. And I never had to like explain it. But for me, I just feel like I have a library in my mind about all the people I've ever met. And when you, for some reason, have this special perk in your mind that like, for some reason, a new book gets added to that library, you obviously have a big library. But then within that library, you'll have sections because you'll see patterns of behavior. I just feel like I've seen this type of person before. And this is just, I'm not saying this is science or anything. I'm just saying this is like how I think like how I think about things. It just feels like when I meet somebody, I feel like I've read a book you've written before, if that makes sense. You're in my library.
Yeah, I've met someone like you before.
Yeah, I've met somebody like you before, and I had to explain that to you. Like think of everybody you've ever met and like actively try to like write a small little blurb in your little description about them and what type of person they are. And then you file that away, and then like sooner or later you're going to find patterns that people are like this. Yeah, that's all. And
but with me,
with you,
I'm like a shiny Pokemon. Like most of the people with my personality type, they are men. So like a lot of my role models and people that I had to look up to or like find how to navigate the world are like CEOs. They are like entrepreneurial types and they're all men because like it's very rare to find a woman with my personality type. And like, I guess this brings me to growing up with the personality types that we have. All my life growing up, I felt like I never really fit in with girls in particular. I mean, I had like female friends and they were fine, but I always had like I think other INTJs would agree with me that I always unintentionally hurt people's feelings. And like, it's not because I'm a psychopath or whatever. It's because I feel bad when that happens because I don't want to do that. I wish I could be more like you where I can read other people's feelings and emotions. And like,
could you try to give people an example of like, because that must be hard for people like me to understand. Because like, I only understand that because I know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for example, I mean, I can say it in the perspective of like growing up in an Asian household. Like, I feel like a lot of Asians tend to be IN somethings because like we're always told very casually, you're fat. And like I'm not fat, but I've been told that many times in my life by my family members, and it's never meant to hurt my feelings or anything. It's just like, oh, you gained 5 pounds since last time I saw you. Like people are my family members.
Noticing.
Yeah. It's like me being an Asian American, I find that kind of offensive, but that's me thinking in my American brain. When I think in my Asian brain, I go, they don't mean it. They are just making an observation as like it's just an observation. It's fact. Yes, I did gain 5 pounds since you last saw me. But so, growing up with that dual way of thinking, it's something that I got really used to. And like, like siblings will be different. So like, I have a sister. And so like when that would happen to her, she would take it very personally.
I would take it personally.
Most people would.
Of course.
And that's how, a lot of people develop.
Which personality type they are.
Yeah. But like for me, I just went, yeah, that's fact. I'm not going to take it personally. Just like how you said, like, oh, INTJs tend to be arrogant. Yes, that's a fact. I'm not going to be offended.
All of the criticisms you gave to me, I didn't like protest because it's true.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of like all of my weaknesses.
So, So like for me, because I tend to be really judgmental, I notice a lot of things about other people, not like in terms of like you noticing that they want to be complimented, so you compliment them.
Right.
I don't notice those things. I notice things like, it'd be better if you worked a little bit harder. And I'd word it in that. I've learned to word things better, but I would word it in that way, and obviously it would hurt people's
that
feelings.
would crush certain people.
Yeah, people
especially if they looked up to you like, oh, I've always wanted to work with Janet. She's so like she's my biggest inspiration. You say that to them.
But like,
you're gonna destroy their entire existence.
Yeah, or like. It's really hard for me to not say it like that. Like, that was a choice. I wouldn't have done it that way. I still run into problems like that all the time. All the time. And like, I don't mean it personally. And I don't mean it to hurt other people's feelings. It's just, I see it as fact.
Right.
In my brain, it's like being analytical, and I'm saying it to help you. I'm saying it like, this is what I should say, which I never think that I should say, like this is how I should word things, is, wow, this is really great. Maybe consider doing it this way. I never say it like that. And it really frustrates me.
Oh my God.
That I can't like word things better for other people sometimes. And I end up hurting their feelings. And this happened all throughout my life, growing up all the time. It could be as innocent as like not knowing that other girls needed to be complimented a lot more than I was complimenting them. So they would think I hated them or something. And it was really hard navigating being an INTJ as a girl. And people would always, like in high school, people always like laugh at my bluntness and at my sharpness. And they would think I was joking when I just say things very point blank and like, no, I mean it. And like people thought like, oh, this little Asian girl is saying crazy things again.
As she does.
Yeah. So, growing up as an INTJ female is really hard because like, I don't like talking about sexes and sexism and whatever because I don't really believe in that kind of stuff. I believe in meritocracy and everything. But the thing about like INTJs is if you take my personality traits and if you apply it to a man, people tend to be less annoyed at those people. Like, for example, Elon Musk is an INTJ.
It feels expected.
It's pretty like, oh, I've seen that before.
Right. Yeah,
I know what that is. And a lot of times I am mistaken for an IN something else, which like there are versions of me who are pragmatists, but who are not idealistic. I'm actually an optimist. So I believe that like good things will happen if you change. I'm a visionary. I'm an idealist, as you can see, that I believe the world can be better, that companies like Disney and all these things can change for the better, and that it doesn't have to be this way. Whereas other people will be like, "Oh, give me a break. That's not how the real world works." Which I'm like, no,
what it is.
Yeah. Where I'm like, no, why can't we change it? So I'm that kind of INTJ person. Whereas like you've most likely met other IN whatever, but most likely not an INTJ female in your life. And if you have, good for you. You found a rare Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess for me, growing up as the ENF, I mean, like I've read that these things change or whatever, but growing up the way I've always been, I'd always feel really bad for people. Like just like I'd feel bad for people, and like I don't know, that sounds weird, but like for example, when I was in 4th grade, there was this kid I was friends with, and like he said something, I don't remember, like my memory is getting really hazy now, but like he said something, and then the teacher caught him and thought he said like a bad word. She probably thought he said shit or something, and then the kid was like, "No, I didn't say it." And then the teacher was yelling at him like, you did, and I'm gonna talk to your parents. I'm gonna tell them what you did, and I'm gonna tell you what you said. And then I, sitting right next to him, kept going like, no, he didn't though. Like I heard him, like he didn't say that. And the teacher was like, no, you be quiet, Vincent. You be quiet. like, I know you're his friend. Don't cover for him. And I was like, but he didn't say it though, to the point where I was like almost about to cry. Aww. Because I was like, it's not fair. He didn't say it. I witnessed him. He didn't say it. I heard it with my ears that he didn't say it. And then you think that he said it, but he didn't though. And then now I'm getting in trouble because like it looks like I'm covering for him. Yeah. And like, I just feel horrible. And it's like, it's that kind of stuff where it's just like, I've always felt like I could intuit how people's feelings are, I guess. Mm-hmm. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it as, I don't know if I already said it before, but I see it as like a superpower because like I can't for the life of me read other people's desires, I guess is what it's called. Because it's not like you're reading their mind. It's like reading what they, even from a first impression, what they want from you.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Yeah, like, how would you describe it?
So like if someone is like really insecure about themselves, or like they need more, not insecure, probably the wrong word to use, more, they need validation, a little bit more validation. You will intuit that, just like it's not like a conscious thing. Right. You just kind of know.
It comes to me too.
Yeah, so you make it a point to be like, hey, how's it going? You look really good today.
Yeah.
You know to add you look really good today.
Yeah, it's the thing of like, you like I'm not stupid. Like, we're having coffee every morning in the same spot at work. Like, obviously I know like what you typically look like. And then all of a sudden when, you
get a haircut,
or you got something tailored or whatever it is, I'm like, oh, looking sharp. Or like, oh, looking like you, like, I want to acknowledge like, hey, cool.
Yeah. Like, that's for me, this is like so like this shows how much of an alien I am, but not knowing how like people work. But like when I was working in the corporate life in Disney, I would like sit in my cubicle and like occasionally like one of my coworkers would come in and then like chat with me. But then it never seemed like he was truly listening to what I had to say or truly interested in asking me valuable questions. So it's very similar to like, how's the weather today? But then when I say, oh, the weather's great, he does not care. Which is fine. But I was always confused. I was like, why does he do this? Because why would he waste his time and my time coming into my cubicle and like talk to me, but then not really listen to me?
Right.
Like he just like zone out or whatever. And then you're like, oh, he's probably he wants to talk to you and he's bored. But then I was like, but if he wants to talk to me, why doesn't he listen to me? And then he's like, he's bored. He's just trying to waste time. And I was like, I don't know why it was so hard for me to just understand this concept.
Yes. It's so simple to me. That's how we get into so many arguments like about this topic, about like, why are people doing this? And I'm like straight up telling you, because it's this. And you're like, but why? And I'm like, because it's this. And you don't believe me or you don't understand.
I don't believe you until like much later.
Yeah. And then you go, oh.
Oh my God.
This is going on the internet.
Yes. This brings us to the topic of like personality types and the kind of work environments that suit them the best.
Right.
So how do you like work, like the real world, the real life world after school when you graduate and you get hired? What is real life like as an ENFP, like working in that kind of ENFJ?
For me, what that means for me is when I go to work, I really, really like being a part of a team. I like having a job to do. I like to do that job well. And I like to, talk to the coach and go like, hey, how did I do? Blah, blah, blah. And we get into it and it pleases me to do a good job. Like I really, really enjoy working. Like as weird as that sounds, as basic as that sounds, I really just like providing for people, I guess, like especially my skills. And it's crazy. So as an ENFJ, like I'm at a certain point where I'm at a point where I could feel maybe in 3 or 4 years, like no rush or anything, but like I really feel like I could do more of like a managerial type position. And that would be really exciting. But first, there's a lot of things that I want to learn, at least for myself. Like there's a lot of things that I want to do. Like right now I'm helping you a lot with this, but one of these days I want to make time for myself and to work on myself, make sure I get stronger as an artist and all that stuff. But, you know, I really feel like when I'm talking to my art director or I'm talking to my coworkers, like I want to help them feel comfortable and that they're appreciated, all that stuff.
Yeah, you really go out of your way.
I do, to the
help.
point where like it bothers me if I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are things that you do that like boggle my mind. Like you spend your own money to bring coffee in to the workplace.
What?
I think it's really sweet. And I think it's such a good thing that you do that. I would not do that. Because it's
I don't think I could do that like anymore because
Yeah.
of how, the way things are, but like I would just because it's like, oh, it's Friday, everybody. You know?
But then you like the thing is when we go grocery shopping and you go, okay, I need to buy a coffee for my crew. I'm like,
Right.
why? And and then you go, oh, because like I want to do a good thing. I'm like, okay, fine. And then you torture yourself
I want to do a good thing.
over like what creamer to buy, what coffee to buy. And I go, it's free coffee. It doesn't matter. Pick one. They will be happy that it's not bad coffee. And then you go, no, but I have to get like the good kind, you know? And I'm like, no, I don't know. No, I don't know. That's ENFJ in the workplace from the perspective of an INTJ. It's like, why would you do this? But okay.
In the last episode, you talked about how like it was torturing me just working from home. Like it's just something I go through. I can't, like I said, like what we were trying to say, we couldn't help it if we could.
Yeah, we really couldn't.
Yeah.
For me,
For you.
an INTJ, what they hate the most, what they absolutely hate the most, what I hate the most, is having my autonomy and my freedom taken away. And I really do not like a structured environment. And you know how I said I took this test and I found out my personality type in college. So I always had a sneaking suspicion that this was the case, that working in a company, in someone else's company, was not right for me. One other hint was when I interned at Blind for the first time. I knew after I had foregone my, I think, winter break or summer break or whatever. So I interned longer than everyone else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that. Wow.
Because
Okay.
they gave me the choice. Like, do you want to go back do you want to take your break? Or you can leave whenever you want. But if you're going to be here, we'll pay you. You can still be an intern for as long as you want.
Wow.
So I interned for like 5 or 6 months. So like half a year. It was a really long time. And the same kind of like process working there happened to me in a very short amount of time. It was very similar to what happened to me in the 4 years of working in animation. I just had more patience now that I was older. But then it was kind of like a testing grounds for me. Mm-hmm. I was like, will I be able to work professionally? Do I like this kind of work? Do I want to do this kind of advertising work later on? And also, like, how am I going to be long term? That's why I interned for so long. Usually it's like 3 months. I extended it for so long. But when I was there, at first I was like, oh, I'm really gung-ho to learn and everything. And Chris Do is an INTJ as well, so he knew exactly how to utilize me. It's kind of crazy how no one ever knows what I'm thinking. No one ever knows how to deal with me. No one ever knows what I'm thinking or what to say to me even to get me to do the things. He knew exactly how to the things to say to me in order to get me to do the things that he wanted me to do. And as efficiently and as INTJ as possible.
Which makes a good leader, right?
Yeah. So I learned so much at first. And then as time went on, I was like, I don't know if I like being an employee at a company. So that's why I made the decision after I graduated to freelance for a while, because I wasn't sure if I liked the structure of being full-time at a company. I needed a little bit more freedom than that. And freedom to like make the choices that I wanted to make and to do the things that I wanted to do, on top of like one of the things that really grinded my gears about animation in particular, or corporate work, is busy work. Is, you technically, and sorry for all the people who are working right now, but you don't need 8 hours to do the job that you're doing. You really don't.
Hey, hey.
But if you let your superiors know that you're done with work way too early, they're going to give you busy work. So let's say you found a really efficient way to get the job done. A way to, so this is the thing about INTJs, we get fired a lot, not because we didn't do a good job, but because we did too good of a job. So if you've listened to a lot of interviews from CEOs, a lot of them got fired initially because they got the job done in like 2 days, and then they like went and golfed for like the next 3 days, and then their boss is like, "Where are you? You're supposed to be at work doing the work I gave you." And they're like, "Oh, I finished the work. Why can't I like just go home?" And then they get fired because they did too good a job. So what a lot of people end up doing when you start working is you waste time. You pretend to work. You look busy.
Hey. Hey, whoa.
So, that's something that really grinds my gears, because it's like, if I finished all my work, why can't I go home? Why do I have to pretend to be busy? I have to, like, I've seen you people. I've seen you look at Facebook for like 5 hours a day, and then when the boss walks by, you're like suddenly working. Calling you out. But that's what I hate about it. So, and that's why, like, in the description of, like, when you read about INTJs,
right,
we're almost like meant to be entrepreneurs. Because I don't feel that way when I'm working for myself, because everything
what does it feel like?
It feels like everything I do is important. And when I choose to not work, that is important as well.
Right.
My time for myself and whatever. And so whether I choose to work 4-hour days or if I choose to work 10-hour days, it's my choice. And it's, for me, my choice is always going to be the most efficient, most pragmatic use of my time. And for an INTJ, the worst thing you can do is to take that away from them. Like, if my best times working in a corporate environment was when I was given more freedom to have my own thoughts, to be able to have a voice, but also to like know the best place. Like, sometimes you are overworked. Some bosses like to work you to the bone, and that's not necessarily the best use of your time either. Yeah. Like, sometimes certain things are good enough. It doesn't need, like, there are some people that love animatics to be beautiful animations practically, and it's an animatic. Like a storyboard animatic, it's going to be animated overseas anyways. Why does it need to be a beautiful half-animated board? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's such a waste of time, and it's almost like a vanity thing for me. It's like, oh, you are insecure that your boards or your episode or your whatever is not good enough, so you thought you needed to make the animatic as beautiful as possible, even though no one is going to see it. It's just, boards are boards. They have a utilitarian purpose to it. To make it beautiful and to make it half animated is completely pointless to me.
For me in the workplace, what grinds my gears is I don't know, because I try to make things as peaceful in the workplace as possible.
And that's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I just hope everything's peaceful.
Yeah.
That's all I
Meanwhile,
want.
I'm like, why? Why is everything the way it is?
Like,
This is ridiculous.
the most like peaceful, and like I gotta say, like the show that I'm on, it feels peaceful. Like I feel at peace finally, because I've had such a turbulent time breaking into this industry.
Yeah.
Like I feel at peace, which is fine. And I know one day, you know, I'll have to find something else, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But like for me, that's all I want is peace. What I don't want is turbulence,
Yeah.
which is what I felt like trying to break in, and then like getting on shows, and then things don't pan out, and it's like, you know, it's fine, it's just life, but then at the same time it's just frustrating for
Yeah.
somebody with my personality type who just wants stability and peace.
Yeah, but I mean,
But for you, like when you're working really hard and you're doing all this stuff on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, you're like doing so many things at once. I feel like that's a pretty turbulent life. That's a pretty like you're really, really, really getting it. You're really like responsible for yourself and
Yeah.
you're responsible for your own work.
Yeah.
And like you said, like if you don't work, that's a choice. Like that's either missed opportunity or rest. Like you have to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
For someone like you.
yeah, and it's a choice that I need to have
Right.
for myself in order to be happy, in order to be sane, and like the slogan for the INTJ is basically could always be better.
God, you know what? Like, we fight a lot about projects that like we've done so many projects together,
Yeah.
and like we fought about the same thing over and over, like screaming matches over and over about the same thing.
We never really fight in like our actual relationship.
No,
But
it's
like
never that.
It's always like I have had to learn like the way to deal with you as an INTJ is that you are to me like a puppy. Like I have to go, oh, good boy, a good boy,
Yeah.
and only then is that enough praise. Only that's like the baseline praise.
I like more.
That's true. You actually would like more, but for me, that's like as best as I could do, and I need to do that for you first and foremost before I can say anything, any kind of criticism, anything. And like the extra added part is like it would be different if like we weren't in a relationship together, but like it's like
It's particularly a touchy situation because we're in a relationship.
yeah, I can't like go full Janet.
God, you would go full Janet if it weren't me. You try not to.
I mean, I try not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
There have been
what does that
times-
mean? You're gonna go full Janet on your employees?
No, I wouldn't.
The fact that you had to consider that. Who would you go full Janet towards? Someone who needs to get fired or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, not necessarily. Someone who's doing a really bad job at their job and their boss is not willing to tell them it. So like I've tried to go full Janet at conventions staff before who really
shit.
irritate me.
That's right. You're terrifying. Oh my God.
Thing is, I really am appreciative of convention staff
Right.
when they do a good job.
Right,
When
okay.
they are very respectful. All I ask is for people to be respectful of their vendors because like you have to understand, yes, you are running the convention, but you literally wouldn't have vendors or people coming to the convention without the people who show up and like the artists and the writers and the retailers and all these people. I do not understand when artist alley staff or convention staff are like incredibly rude to people. I'm not like being hyperbolic. I mean, like, for example, not turning on the AC when it's 105 degrees outside and someone fainting in your convention. And even then going, it's going to cost too much. No, don't do that. People's well-being are worth more than like you pinching pennies at your convention. I'm sorry. But like, I like all I ask is for the bare minimum of just treat me like a human being, not like cattle. So knowing about yourself is really helpful because like, I guess like I said before, growing up, especially as an introverted person and as INTJs are just constantly misunderstood all the time. And, story of a teenager's life, right? But a lot of the times people tell you to change or people tell you that you need to be more like so-and-so or whatever. But I think, especially for introverts, it's kind of important for self-acceptance and to learn that like, oh, you don't necessarily have to change to be more like these other personality types because you have your own value too. Right. And you have acknowledge your weaknesses, try to work on them, and that's as the most that you can do. Trying to change the core being of who you are is kind of futile. And you start to understand that when you start dating, when you start working, and you interact on a daily basis with a lot of other types of people. And learning all the other personality types really helps you too, because you can start pinpointing like different types of people, how they are, and it gives you a lot more empathy, I think, for people. It helps you understand where they come from. And like most people they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to like, I don't know, they're not out to get you. And like learning what they want, the things that get to them or whatever, that's really important too.
Yeah, like the first thing that I did when I took the personality test and I found out my type and I was really shocked by the results, I wanted to see what other people were like. And as I was reading the descriptions for the other personality types, I was thinking like, wow, I've met somebody like this before. I totally have met somebody like this. I've worked with somebody like this before. I've went to school with somebody like this before. So it's really fascinating. And I can see how like, especially somebody with my personality type, if I had a good handle on every single personality type, their like, their needs and wants, I don't know if like, since I prioritize my personability, is that a word?
Yeah, personability.
Personability, then that would just like make me even stronger, a ENFJ, I guess. Mm-hmm. And like, I remember we were talking about this. You were talking about how like there is a program that kind of learning about all of these personality types is part of that program and how to kind of use it to navigate people.
Yeah, so there's the Meyers Briggs thing, which is more about personality types, and then there's this thing called NLP, and it's short for neuro-linguistic programming, and it's kind of complicated. There's a TED Talk about it. It's really dry, taught by this really intelligent Indian man, but he explains that there are different types of learners as well. So I think there's kinesthetic, which means that you learn by experience, that you don't believe that when someone tells you to do something and it's going to work, you don't just believe that it's going to work. You have to try it for yourself first to prove to yourself that it works. So that's how you learn, by doing. And then there's the audio type, where people, especially probably the listeners now, if you like listening to podcasts, you might be like a little bit of an audio listener. You like consuming audio in order to learn things. There's people who are more visual, which I think you are.
I think so.
And they tend to be more see it to believe it. So if you see something that works, you just know that it works. You don't need to someone to prove to you that it works. You don't need to try it for yourself to know that it works. You can just see it and do it. And then I think there's like 4. There's one more. But these learners, you can be 1 or 2 or 3, or you can be like a mix of them, because people are varied. No one person just fits into one kind of learner. You might learn best by reading. You might learn best by doing. You might learn best by listening to something. But you might be some kind of mix of all of them. It kind of goes hand in hand with your personality type. So I think I'm like a INTJ. I think I might be a little bit of a kinesthetic learner. Like I feel like I have to do something in order to prove it to myself that I can, that I believe it.
Right.
But I'm also a little bit of a visual person as well. I'm a little bit of both. It just depends sometimes. But like people who are audio learners, they tend to be really sensitive to audio. So like, for example, if you don't like loud noises, you tend to be really sensitive to them. You tend to be like an audio learner. So I'm a little bit of that too. Like I grew up in a very quiet household. So like I don't like loud noises. So when you learn about NLP, you learn a lot of coaches. You can get certified to be an NLP practitioner, and you can learn how to utilize other people, being able to categorize what other people are, like what kind of learners they are, and use it to your advantage and also to help them. So it's like it could be like a double-edged sword. Like people who are really good at this, like I feel like when I explained these concepts to you at first, you were like, hey, I kind of do that intuitively.
Right.
You just kind of know how other people are.
And my ears perked up and I was like, oh my God, if I had this program, I'd have superpowers basically.
Yeah. You'd be able to like control people, which is kind of scary. But, like when you are a coach and you learn these things, you are able to help other people a little bit better. You can read them. You know exactly what you need to say to them or recommend they do in order to help them get to where they are.
Right.
So even if you don't want to be a coach, if you learn what you are, it will help you either learn faster, grow faster in terms of like whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's art, music, whatever creative thing, side hustle that you do, your business.
Yeah, if I went through that program and if I had that ability to be able to understand every person to a T, and understand how they work, if I were in the workplace and like, I'm not going to use it to control people. I would use it literally like how I explained before. Like if I were tasked to do a job, if I needed to direct people or if I needed people to do things, I'd figure out the best possible way to help them work and to communicate my ideas as efficiently as possible. And I would use that because not everybody's the same. The way I'm going to interact with a prop designer is going to be different from how I interact with the background designer and painter or whatever it is. And it would be very useful because it feels to me like I explained before, like how I perceived it. It feels like a library. But if I ever had that ability, it would just be like a map instead.
Yeah.
And that would be super efficient instead of just like pulling books from my library. Like, have I met someone like this before? Like, and that's how I met you. It's like I was like looking through my library and all the books were on the floor. I'm just like, I don't have a Janet. Like I literally lived 20 years of my life meeting so many people. I mean, like, I know that's not a lot of life, but like, 20 years of your life from when you're a little kid to when you're like a late teen, you're like, oh, you met a good amount of people, your teachers, your parents' coworkers, your uncles, their friends, and your friends and all this stuff. And you feel like I felt like I met all the kind of people there were to be. And then when you came along, I'm like, what the heck? What is this?
Yeah. And like, for me, it's like really helpful for me because I'm so bad socially with things. It's like, if I can help myself categorize people a little bit better to be able to pinpoint certain personality types and also like how to get them to receive me better by just adjusting the way I say things. That's literally how, like,
it would help so much.
Yeah.
Because your notes are amazing.
Yeah.
It's just your presentation's F.
Yeah, because I don't beat around the bush.
No.
Which, like, if you don't, say things in a certain way, some people will just not hear it. Exactly because of this NLP thing. Like, if they are this kind of learner, if I say it if they're like a kinesthetic learner, if I tell them something, I should understand that they might not take my advice immediately because they need to prove it to themselves first. Yeah. So then that requires more patience.
Right.
And if you have a visual learner or whatever, or an audio learner, you need to be very careful about how you say things and what you say, because they might just take it and run with it and then like take it a little bit too seriously or whatever.
Right.
So for me, knowing how important my words are, especially as a person on YouTube and as a person on the internet with a podcast or whatever, it's so important to me. And it helps me because I'm constantly curious about other people. You are not really, because you know them so well. I am just like, man, people are fascinating. I'm like an alien in a human body.
We do this thing. We just, when we're having dinner at a restaurant, we just kind of look at people and we people watch, and we just try to like, surmise as best as we can by their gestures, by how they're presenting themselves, what they're wearing, everything. You can tell a lot about a person. I mean, that's one of the great joys for me when I cafe sketch, which I talked about in another episode, I think, in the podcast. When I people sketch, I love looking at people. I love how certain people behave, and I feel like I'm having a whole conversation with them. I feel like I'm really getting to know them just by looking at them, just by like looking at them and, how they're interacting with the barista and how the barista is feeling today. Is he cheery? Is she upset? Is the person ordering the coffee late for work? Is he tapping his feet? Like all this kind of stuff. Like it's not something I even actively search for. It's just something that, when you look at something pretty, you're really stimulated by it. Yeah. Like that's how it feels like for me. Like I look at people and I'm really stimulated by, just how they're behaving, by human behavior, I guess.
Oh, something that I wanted to say randomly is that we like to play chess and poker in our other than
we're so strange.
I know
there are people like listening to us going like, what are they talking about? Like there's like, I bet there are people listening to us right now and they're like, are they speaking some other language or something? Are they going crazy?
But like outside of, when we play video games, watch movies, whatever.
When I read to you and you read to me. We watch Criterion Collection movies.
We're pretty weird. But sometimes, occasionally, we like to play chess and poker against each other.
Right.
And it's funny because I'm great at chess, apparently. And
you're really good at chess. It's either I'm just that awful at chess or you're great at chess, which is like either could be true.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But like partly because I am an architect personality type, I think like so many moves ahead. And I know like master chess players, they're capable of thinking X amount of moves ahead, but I think probably like 8 moves ahead or so, maybe 10. But like you are so bad at chess.
No.
At strategy.
I cannot.
But you are so good at poker.
Oh, it's fun.
And I am not very good. It's interesting the way I play poker versus the way you play poker.
We have different styles. Yeah.
But I lean on my statistics and my knowledge of math, and you lean on just reading me. So you just take all my money.
I do.
All the time.
Yeah. You're getting better at it, though.
But the benefit that I have is no one can read my face.
No.
Yeah. But that's the funny thing about us.
Yeah, it's a fun thing that I was trying to encourage us to do because I just knew that the two games, for whatever reason, like our personality type shine and like our strengths, our weird perks just shine.
Yeah. When we started doing it, it reminded me of this interview that I listened to about Stanley Kubrick, about how he would play chess when he would hustle chess when he was unemployed and between jobs, I think.
Or I think when he was younger.
Yeah, he was like writing scripts and trying to sell them to Hollywood. And in between time, he was making a living hustling chess in the park. And I remember as I would like beat you in chess all the time. I remembered that story, and I was like,
God damn.
And I was like, man, I wish I learned how to do this when I was a lot younger, so I could hustle chess and make some money. on the side.
There are a lot of people. Well, the funny thing about these personality types things is that like if you check them out and look through, there's people like celebrities, writers, figures, historical figures who share the same traits as you,
Yeah.
or allegedly.
And you.
I mean, like just you, the royal you.
Oh,
yeah,
you,
as
yeah.
you. So when you look at it, you'll see like, oh, you share the same personality type as Ben Affleck or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So for you, who like, even to help the audience understand
Who I am.
who are the people that you know that best describe you?
So there are like a few people, real and fictional, Western and Eastern anime, cartoons, whatever.
Okay.
So I'm basically Walter White. If you've watched Breaking Bad.
So we watched Breaking Bad. I was watching Breaking Bad, and you were just kind of there listening as you were working in preparation for El Camino right before it came out, just to like refresher. And it was nice. It was really, really nice. You forget like I always think like Breaking Bad's great, and then I watch it again and I go like, God, jeez, Breaking Bad's so good. like it's like better than I've ever remembered or imagined. Like I want to watch it because that's the first time I've watched it since like the finale. So it was nice to like, brush up on everything. And, I got to try to, next time I watch it, it'll be 5 years from now. But anyway, every time I'd watch it and Walter White would do something, every so often you go something, oh, I would do that. You would go, you like suddenly appear and you're like, oh, I would do that's exactly something I would do.
Like, but in that situation, I totally do that.
Yeah. And I was like, that's so creepy. That's so creepy, man.
If you don't know Breaking Bad, watch it. But also, how about Game of Thrones? Do you know Game of Thrones? I'm basically Tywin Lannister.
Great.
Yes. Principles, a Lannister always pays its debts, that kind of thing. And if you are not into Western stuff, let's say you're into anime, I'm basically Light from Death Note.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. But so real life people, I mentioned Elon Musk before. He's an INTJ. But actually, a lot of film directors are INTJs.
Right.
So David Fincher, Christopher Nolan, those types of people are INTJs as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Ever since I learned about this stuff, I've always been paying attention to, directors. I love watching directors' interviews, just listening to them at work. But lately, when I listen to them, like, for example, on the Criterion Collection, which is amazing. I wish they could sponsor us. In the Criterion Collection, they have Nolan's first like kind of feature-length movie, The Following, which was really great. Go check that out on Amazon or Criterion. I'm not even sponsored, and I'm just telling you guys.
Yeah.
Like, check it out. It's great. But in the Criterion Collection, they had the interviews and the director's commentary, and the way he talked about stuff, the way he rationalized things, the way he explained things, remind me of you.
Yeah, and
a lot.
Like when he explained how his early movies, which are basically similar to our early Instagram videos, our early YouTube videos, it's like his process for doing a lot of things was like so similar to the way that I make things.
Explain. You need to explain.
It's all about efficiency. Like he was not about the thing. This doesn't surprise me about especially live action film directors that they tend to be INTJs, is that they are creative and they have these big visions. They're visionaries. But at the same time, they understand that this needs to be done.
Right.
This needs to be made. Because there are plenty of people with big visions, but they don't make movies happen. So in order to have a combination of being able to have the vision for a movie and then to actually make it into an actual movie that people will sit down and watch, you need an aspect of pragmatism and efficiency. So when he was explaining like his little short films that he would make, he talked about how he didn't need a big fancy camera. He didn't need all this time or a big budget or these crazy big name actors or whatever. And the way he talked about shooting it, he shot it over the span of, I want to say like a year or two. I think
over the weekends, right?
Over the weekends.
For the following.
Yeah, and he would shoot each scene as its own thing. And then it's similar to how we were shooting a lot of our early Instagram videos that had nothing to do with art or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just like little short films.
To help explain, if you want to dig through our Instagram, there are 3 videos in there where that summer of 2018.
I feel like it was last year or something. 2019?
Maybe 2019. I think 2019 actually. We just for fun, we wanted to make these little short movies, and we made them, and it was all about efficiency and but it was basically like, how efficient can we do this and make the prettiest thing and tell a little story, like how fast we could do that, and how we only had a weekend to do it. So what's the best way to like execute it?
Yeah. And when he said that, like, as you get bigger, you get more money, you get more equipment, you did all these things, and it just makes it more complicated. But at the end, sometimes not better, just because you have big fancy Hollywood cameras and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking too, like, I'm pretty sure Kubrick was an INTJ, because after listening to that interview, I think it's available on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he and I sound like the same person. The way he talks about math and how he just liked it. He just did it for fun. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And he talked about how he started funding his initial movies, how he sold these scripts, and he found out the budget, which a weird parallel is I found out the budget for a lot of things, including like theme parks and advertising and whatever, and TV shows, and they have a lot of money invested in these things. And he realized that, oh, I can make movies for cheaper than that, because he did the math. He did the math for like how much does it cost to have like a film stage? How much does it cost to have film equipment? How much does it cost to have actors? Whatever. He did all the math, and he's like, okay, I can actually make these movies at half the price, so I can just undercut my competitors by saying like, I can make movies for for this company and charge you half the price, and you'd be making more money, and I'd be able to make the movies that I wanted to make.
Right.
And I was like, is this me talking? Because I feel the exact same way, that like finding out the budgets for these TV shows, finding out the budgets for all this stuff. It's like, okay, first of all, if you're freelancing, you definitely can charge an arm and a leg because they have the budget for it. Second of all, that means, like, if you calculate how much does it cost to hire an animator, how much does it cost to hire these people that you need on your team, it's not actually that much. So like to start a little independent studio, which I have no intention of doing anytime soon because I'm focused on other things right now.
Of course.
But if you wanted to do that, it's actually not that hard, and it doesn't actually take that much money. And to find investors is the exact same thing as finding a job in animation. You ask for a job, you ask for money, you ask for whatever. And so it's like, so point being, I think Stanley Kubrick is an INTJ.
Okay.
As well as many, many, many other film directors.
They're all brilliant people. And like, the director's like, the maestro in an orchestra, like he manages everything, and it takes a very specific type of mind who is micromanaging, but very highly, highly creative. And like, I just see these traits in all sorts of different kinds of directors. And there's certain directors that I know, like, I don't think Scorsese's an INTJ at all. Yeah. I think he's more something like me.
I think so.
And I think Tarantino,
no, he's
absolutely
definitely more like
but
you.
But you hear, especially with more independent directors, like they have a certain air to them, a certain confidence to them. Like say like Damien Chazelle. I don't know if he's an INTJ, but like there's a certain confidence and aura about him. But yeah, like, I mean, I guess for me, I'm basically Beast Boy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to really tell you like who else I am in fiction or reality. I just feel like that's the person I am. I'm just like this fun living dude. Or okay, fine. Like Fry from Futurama. I'm like that guy. I'm like just that dude.
You're a Beast Boy from Teen Titans.
Yeah. And I don't know. At the end of the day, like I said, like it's not something I bank on or take too much like stock in. Like I really use it as like just a roadmap. Like this whole 16 personalities Meyers Briggs thing. I really the benefit for me of knowing and understanding this stuff is just like to understand people better. And once you understand people better, you just are kinder because you're just more accepting of people's faults and whatever it is, because sometimes people like us can't help the way they are. They just are the way they are because of, their upbringing or things that have happened to them. Whatever it is, people are just the way they are. And of course, there's always room for improvement. But yeah. So thank you so much for listening. Find us at Honey and Absinthe at TikTok and at Instagram.
If you want to buy our merch, like this Cat Demon bomber jacket that I am currently wearing, go to honeyandabsinthe.com. Consider buying something from our store. It really helps us out. It's how I am being supported and living right now.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.